Bismillah, welcome back, Zoo Crew. So, when I started on this journey, I was pretty much just documenting and building some momentum, right? So, it ties into what I was talking about before that you have to build momentum before you can optimize. And last night, I finally kind of gained some clarity on what's the whole purpose of this YouTube channel and where I want to see this go, right? And I know my potential, and like I've been telling my dad that like I'm gonna have a jet and like I'm gonna be the first billionaire in the family, and he would always just kind of brush it off. But it is what it is. Like I know my potential, and I know like given my background, my mentors, my training, and like my life experiences, if anyone in my family is gonna be able to do it, it's gonna be me, right? So the point of this YouTube channel is gonna end up being a blueprint for anyone who wants to, I guess, accomplish their dreams or reach their full potential, right? So you can go from day zero, you'll see like how fragile my mindset was and how like timid I was and just lost in life to the final product, right? Essentially, it's like with Kanye West, like for those of you who saw his documentary, like this guy was filming him and he was like speaking on what he wanted to do in his future, not knowing whether he was going to accomplish it or not. But I guess he truly knew he was going to accomplish it. And then at the end, like now we see Kanye today, right? So it's very kind of inspiring to see like who he was, what he wanted to do, and how he became that. So I want this channel to serve a similar purpose for anyone who's in a similar position, you know? And really, there aren't many role models from like the Indo-Pakistani Desi community, you know, and like we don't really get much representation. And some of the smartest people I know are Desi, so this is for us, you know what I mean? And let's get into it, really. And first, I guess we gotta pause, right? We gotta differentiate between attention and influence, right? So when I'm talking about attention, it's being able to get people's eyeballs, get people to notice you. And then when I'm talking about influence, it's about changing people's minds. It's about having people change their habits, change the way they live, right? So in my opinion, most people are chasing attention when they really should be chasing influence, right? And a good example of this is whatever is going on in Iran. So all of these people had been posting for months or like weeks, and same thing with like Palestine and like Israel and all of this stuff that's going on, right? This is really just virtue signaling. All these people are doing is like they're posting because they want to show people, yeah, like we support this cause or whatever. And their whole notion is like, yeah, we're bringing awareness. And it's like, you're not changing anything, right? Awareness is useless because whatever's been going on in Gaza has been going on for at least 13 years, if not more. Because I'll come across posts that I made when I was in high school on Facebook Memories, and guess what? The same shit's still going on, right? If you really want to change the world, you need influence and you need money and yeah, I mean, without money, influence, and status, you don't really have power and you can't change the system, right? So if you don't agree with the system, you need to get into a position where you can actually change things, right? Just making like an Instagram post or like a story post doesn't mean shit. It's not gonna change the reality of anything. You're just playing the game, right? You're getting distracted. And even now with all of this like Epstein files shit that's going on, in my opinion, this is like a misdirection, right? So magicians, when they want to trick you, they'll make you look here, but really they're doing something over here. And this is what I think why they released this, because they want people to be distracted and like consuming these garbage emails, and nothing is going to change realistically. So they're distracting you with this while they plan to do something else, right? And this is the way the world works. So God knows what's going to happen or what they're trying to distract or like misdirect people from catching on about, but that's the way the world works, right? So now I guess like let's dive in more about like attention versus influence and why I think initially I should have started building a YouTube channel instead of my like Instagram following, right? Because when somebody's on Instagram, they're just scrolling and you're in front of them maybe for like a second, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds if you're like good at capturing attention. But for the most part, like somebody will scroll through hundreds or like thousands of things in a day or in a week, and they won't remember shit about what they scrolled through, right? Whereas with YouTube, somebody who's watching like a long form video, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, etc., you can ask them in a few days or in a couple hours or in a couple weeks, and they're still gonna remember what they saw and consumed, right? So to build influence, you need to be on YouTube because you have more time face to face, like face to face with another person, right? And you have more time to convey your thoughts, right? Because again, influence is changing somebody's mind. And this is why I come back to this whole notion that everything in life is sales, right? Because in sales, you're influencing somebody to make a decision, whether that's buy a car, buy a house, buy life insurance, or even in the real world, like you're influencing somebody to date you, somebody to marry you, etc., right? Somebody to be your friend. All of these things come down to influence. And another good example of this is like that TikTok girl who had like 1 million followers on TikTok and hosted a meet and greet and then nobody showed up, right? So in my opinion, like one YouTube subscriber is worth probably 10,000 Instagram followers. And like there's so many examples of why you need to like focus on turning yourself into a personal brand, because that's the ultimate leverage in life, right? So when we're talking about becoming successful in terms of like money or business or entrepreneurship, the main game is having as much leverage as possible, right? And this is why you need to be on YouTube. This is why you need to be building a personal brand, right? Because people only buy from people, first of all, they know and people they trust, right? So like I give you an example. So rest in peace, Stefan, but this guy was building a phenomenal personal brand. So first he was putting out a bunch of very high quality, highly valuable information about Canadian real estate on YouTube, right? This became the top of his funnel. Then people got to know who he is and they were gaining value from the content, right? Then the next level of this was, okay, now I have coaching and courses and books, right? So people got to know him through his free content and then ended up buying his courses, books, coaching, etc., right? And then outside of that, like you have the little clips and stuff, like going on podcasts and like showing your personality, showing that you're a real person so people can understand your culture, what you're about, what you stand for, right? And another great example of this is Grant Cardone, right? This guy is a master marketer and master at sales. So anybody in business, anybody in sales, anybody in real estate will know who Grant Cardone is. But like the level of kind of content this guy puts out, first of all, he's putting out highly valuable sales information. He's putting out information about like real estate or whatever, but then he has his own like random TV series, like Whatever It Takes, Real Estate King, etc., right? So this shows a different side of this person. It shows off his personality, right? So now it's like people can trust him because they see all sides of him, and then people are getting value from him, so they're more likely to invest in him or spend money with him buying his products, right? Same thing with Alex Hormozi. Like this guy pumps out some of the best sales training content for free, right? And then when he goes to sell a book, initially his first book, he was giving it away for free. You just had to pay the shipping, right? And this guy built up a lot of influence doing things this way, right? And it's very easy to turn influence into attention, but it's very hard to turn attention into influence, right? So like Kim Kardashian, she's very good at getting attention, but I'd say she doesn't have much influence, right? And outside of this, like once you know how to capture attention and you know how to influence people, you can literally sell anything you want, right? And to anyone. So like you should have some ethics and morals so you're not going around like scamming people. But yeah, I mean, so the whole point being, you should focus on building your personal brand. And if you are trying to build a personal brand, you need to focus on YouTube. You don't need to focus on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, any of these other things, right? This is all just secondary, and this is all just like, it's nice to have, but like, let's say you have a million followers on Instagram. How are you going to monetize that? You're probably not going to be able to. Whereas like if you have 10,000 subscribers on your YouTube, first of all, you're getting paid AdSense, but then outside of that, it's way easier to monetize that because of what I'm saying, right? Like you've already provided the value, people already know who you are, people know what you're about, people are more inclined to trust you, right? And at the end of the day, if people don't trust you, they're not going to give you their money. They're not going to buy your product, whatever your product is, whether it's like a service or like a course or whatever the hell you're trying to sell, right? So the ultimate thing you can build at the end of the day is a personal brand, because this is going to go with you anywhere you go. So now it's going to follow you if you go into car sales. If you go into real estate sales, it's going to follow you. If you start some kind of a business, it's going to follow you into there, right? If you decide to like sell information, it's going to follow you there. And like everything you do becomes a part of your personal brand, right? Now, let's say I transition and I want to be a full-time like streamer on Twitch, just playing games all day. My personal brand can transition into that, right? Let's say I want to talk just about anime. My personal brand, again, can transition into that, right? And this is really the ultimate form of leverage, because let's say I spend 30 minutes to make this video, and then let's say I spend another 30 minutes to upload it to Opus to get some clips and then like schedule the clips, right? So let's say all in all, I spend an hour, and now this video is going to live online and it has the potential to reach millions of people even while I'm asleep, right? There's no other leverage that you can have that will match that, right? That's why there's YouTubers who make 30 to 50K a month and they work less than doctors and they're making more money than doctors, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about leverage. And I mean, even outside of like leverage, it forces you to grow as a person, because it's a very uncomfortable thing coming on camera and like just talking about shit, especially not knowing if you're gonna have anybody listening or watching, and if you're gonna like get any traction with your YouTube channel, right? Even like any kind of content, like you're literally like putting yourself in a very vulnerable position, putting yourself out there with no guarantee of anything in the future, right? And you still gotta do it, especially if you wanna be an entrepreneur. Like you literally need to be forcing yourself to grow, forcing yourself to be on camera, and then making the fucking content. Because until you start, until you have momentum, you can't optimize and you won't know what you should be talking about or any of these kind of things. Like it's, so this is what I'm realizing now is like every day, like I come and make a video, but the last few videos all kind of build on top of each other, right? And it's interesting because as I have these realizations, I come and share them with you guys. And then I don't know who's going to see this or when they're going to see this, but hopefully it helps you to kind of rethink the way you look at life. And maybe it's going to make you change certain habits. Maybe it's going to change your life in some way, right? Because you never know how one sentence or one word from somebody will impact your life, right? So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I don't think this video needs to be much longer. You know, the main thing I wanted to talk about was like attention versus influence, and how it's more important to have influence than it is to have attention, especially if you want to be something in this life, if you want to change the way the world is, if you don't agree with the systems, you need to build yourself up. You need to get to a place where you can actually change things, because guess what? Just posting something on social media, it's not going to change your life, you know? And outside of that, like I did go yesterday to check out that condo at 90 George. Pretty awesome building, pretty good vibes. Like I could definitely see myself living in that building. However, like the closet was kind of small and the overall size of the unit was kind of small. So that's one thing. Other than that, like I haven't heard back from Civic Motors yet either. So the thing is, like, if I'm gonna be going to Prio, as much as I'm like, yeah, I should live downtown, like realistically, I should be like 10 minutes to like 15 minutes away from my work at the most. So plus Barhaven Honda is hiring now, so I'm like reevaluating. And then at the same time, it's like I got to be out of here by the 15th. So I have what, like 10 days to make a decision. I mean, I could extend being here till the 30th, but or I could like move to my parents' house, but realistically moving back to my parents' house is not ideal, just given that like it's way too much always happening there and like I'm overstimulated and the drive if I'm going to Prio would end up being like 40 minutes one way, so it's like all in all it's not a very logical step. It's more of a step backwards, you know? So a lot of things going on and making some progress, making forward momentum. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where this YouTube channel ends up or how long it takes me to actually build like some influence on YouTube, you know? But for the 45 of you who have subscribed, I truly appreciate you. And it's worth so much more than any single one of my Instagram followers. Like I said, one YouTube subscriber is worth probably like 10,000 Instagram followers. So you guys are awesome and I truly appreciate you. And hopefully you enjoy tagging along on this journey, you know? See y'all tomorrow.